Okay, today I will be working on a 2012 Chevy Cruze. I'm going to be changing the AC compressor clutch slash coil. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's no longer engaged in the air conditioning, but I have no leaks or anything of that sort. I already checked that out. And I verified that there's voltage going to the AC clutch. There's a couple wires down there. There's plenty of other videos that show how to do that. There's really not any showing how to change this, so that's what I'm going with right now. Also, the fuse is blowing for the AC as well, and then it ends up blowing after like 5-10 minutes. So kind of come to the diagnosis that it needs that AC clutch coil, so I'm going to go ahead and change it now. Most of the work is going to be done in the wheel well, the passenger side wheel well, so I'm going to go ahead and jack it up, remove the wheel, splash guard, and then show you what we're working with. Okay, so I've got the wheel out and I'm starting to get some of the fender liner out. It is basically just a few different clips, so there's some push clips like those there, and then a bunch of these Torx screws, and there's some right here along that, and then some on the bottom. Kind of just look really easy to see, looking where you need to go. I was going to see if I could just take this off and maybe move it out of the way, but I might have to actually remove it completely, which not a huge deal, just a little more annoying. Okay, so here's how I got it. I just got it enough to take it off there. I didn't really feel like messing with it over there, but the area where we're going to be working is right here, so I got easy room for it. So that's the AC compressor there. Alright, T30 Torx. Okay, now to get this piece off. Okay, so it's being a little difficult, and looking at the other one, the hole ends up right into the splines, so I'm going to go ahead and just spray some penetrating oil in there and let that marinate for a little bit, and then try this again. Don't need much, obviously. Okay, so it took a little bit of harassing off camera. So basically I kept tapping the hammer behind these because it's more solid behind these because there's some rubber in here. So I was tapping the screwdriver behind these, turning it, doing it again, and eventually it would start to pop off little by little, but I still couldn't get it out. So once it was loose enough, separated enough, I went ahead and put the other screwdriver on the other side, and then started fondling it, and it's out quite a bit now, so it should be just about ready to pop off. Yeah, there we go. So that is off now. And now I'm going to have to take off this C-clip, I believe it's called. And I got to get some C-clip pliers for that, so I'm going to grab those now and get that off. Alright, and I'm just using these cheapo Craftsman C-clip pliers, which I've used in the past for similar jobs. And that came off right away. So that's good. Now I'm going to go up top and remove the connector for the AC clutch, which is this guy right here. Should be this one here over to the right, and the connector was actually jacked up on mine. So yeah, so now I'm going to go ahead, and it's also clipped onto the AC compressor, which you can just pop right off, so I'm going to do that and then start pulling off the pulley there. And there's a close-up of it just in case. It was hard to see from before, hard to get a good shot in there, so I kind of got it in there. So now I have it off the connector, and now I'm going to go ahead and pop off the pulley, and then there should be another C-clip to take off the actual AC coil, which is what's actually failed and what connects to that connector there. Alright, this is kind of hard because of where the thing actually ends up over there, so it's a little pressed for room, but it's still doable. Alright, got it off. Wasn't very graceful, but it's off. Needless to say, I'm going to pop it back on. Like, yay, it was more over here, so that is off. So now, this pops right off. Alright, so here I've got the comparison, and they're the same. Just obviously this one's newer. These look newer, but if you look at it, they're just used ones that are spray painted. I didn't look to see if they sold these as new or what, but it's kind of strange that they did that. Even these clips look used, and the nut is definitely used. It's kind of strange, but it's not really a huge deal. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and reassemble. Alright, and then to get the new one on, you got to line it up with this nub here on the bottom. That nub goes into the hole right here, and then you just kind of just set it on there and then spin it until it's on the nub. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the C-clip on. I'm going to probably just reuse the old one. I don't really see huge reason to use the new one because it also looks used, but maybe I will. Yeah, to me this just looks like a cleaned up used one, but it looks slightly nicer than mine, so I'll go with it. Okay, so I got it mostly on there. I'm just gonna try to push it the rest of the way on. I have it like on the lip. Alright, looks like we got it on. It's not going anywhere. So that is good. Okay, and one thing that I was looking for, it's usually there, is inside of there there's a washer. Sometimes it'll stay on there, but this one stayed on here. I think I'll probably just reuse my old stuff since I knew it fit fine. So, since the other one's used anyways, I don't know that there's much of a point to use it. So I'm just going to use this. Alright, I missed it, but I slid this back on and then put the C-clip back on there. So that is good. So now really, I got to put the belt on, will be my next task. And this guy should still fit just like before, which I won't put on until I got the belt on. But yeah, so far it's pretty easy overall. I'm taking off the original part, this one. Popping it off was the hardest part about it so far, I would say. And it's kind of annoying how many clips I got to take off just to be able to access this, but that's front wheel drive life. Okay, I couldn't show it because I was struggling quite a bit. Basically what I used, 14mm on the tensioner nut there, and then I popped it off of the alternator on the back here. Since that's the smallest pulley, I figured it'd be easiest to get on, and it was. So I popped on all the belts down on the bottom and everything, and just popped out the one for that. And I did the tensioner. It's actually very, very hard to do. I see why a lot of videos they have like that removed, the engine mount, but I didn't feel like doing all that, so I just struggled for a couple minutes, which wasn't that bad. So basically, you know, crank this and then turn that one over. It would have been easier with two people, somebody over there, because with what I used here, which is an extendable ratchet, it was kind of hard because this is kind of big and beefy versus like a breaker bar, but it's definitely doable. So now it's together enough that I just got to replace the blown fuse that was blown from before, and I can go ahead and fire it up and test it out. So that's what I'll be doing here in a sec. Alright, and this bolt here had some thread locker on it, so I'm going to put some back on it. I'm just going to scrape off the studs, put a little bit of blue thread locker on it. Nothing fancy. Alright, just a little bit of tiny dab of blue thread locker on there. And then I have no idea what the torque rating is for this, or have any way to lock it so that it doesn't spin, so I'm just going to zip it back on with the impact. I just gave it a couple of zips, saw it spin, kind of held this a little bit, and then should be good. So now I'm going to go ahead and start it up and see what happens. Alright, so I got it set. I'm going to go ahead and start the car and see if it clicks on. The old one would click on for a little bit, then eventually blow the fuse. So the real test will be to drive it. But first, before I put this crap back together, I'm going to make sure it actually does something. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up right now. Okay, so it is turning on, so that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and flick it off, and then you should see it turn off, and I'll flick it back on. Okay, off. And back on. So we should be good to go. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put the wheel liner back together and then take it for a spin, and probably 10-15 minutes I should know, because I changed the fuse last time. Within 5 minutes into my drive it shut off, so it'll be really easy to tell. Okay, we're all set, got it all back together. Just got to clean up my tools and take it for a drive. It definitely works right now, but like I said, the old one would work for a little while and then it'd blow the fuse after like 10 minutes or so. From what I could tell, I could only diagnose it to that because there was no obvious shorts or anything like that. The wiring harness was all fully intact and everything as well. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take it for a spin, maybe 10-15 minutes, and by then I'll know that it's good, because before I even got out of town on my way to work, it would be stop working and blow the fuse. So we'll try it out in a little bit.